Hey neighbors, Kevin here with etrailer, and today we're going to be showing you how to increase your visibility with our RVS backup camera system. The RVS camera system is going to come with a few different versions. The version we installed in this work van today has 2 of the rear cameras that we have right here. For us, we made it easier for our neighbors so that they can see when they're pulling into a spot so that they're not going to end up hitting any railings, because now they have that front camera to kind of see over the engine and actually be able to know when to stop. This is also going to come with 2 side marker cameras. That way if you're making turns on the road, or maybe you're trying to back into a spot and you just need a little bit more vision over to that side of your vehicle, that can help you out and make things a whole lot easier. Now if you aren't needing that side camera, there is also a setup where it's going to come with 2 of the rear cameras and a 7-inch monitor. Or if you don't need those 2 cameras, you need just one, because all you're doing is just backing up into a spot. There is also that single camera version, but that will come with a smaller monitor. It's going to be a 5.6-inch monitor, but since you're not sharing that with other cameras, you're going to have that whole view all to that one angle. Taking a closer look at our front and rear cameras, these are going to have a 130-degree view, so you got a nice wide angle. You can see a good majority behind you, as well as a little bit off to the sides. And if we look a little bit closer, you can see the infrared sensors alongside of the camera, and that's going to give you up to 50 feet of visibility in the dark. If we look closer at the sides, there is a bit of adjustability with our mounting bracket, as well as with this little cover that we have right here, so we can get a nice great view of what we need to see, and then also kind of block out the sun. That way we're not having our whole camera view just kind of hazed over to where we can't really get a good view. Our side view cameras are going to have a slightly narrower angle here, so this is actually only going to be a 120-degree viewing instead of 130 like with our front and our rear cameras. Now, not to say that that's bad. Honestly, you're not probably going to be using these as much when you're backing into that spot. These are going to give you enough visibility so you can make sure you're not hitting any trees or anything like that, or getting too far out of your lane as you're backing into your camping spot. Along with that, if you are in the dark, this does have a shorter range with those infrared sensors. Instead of being 50 feet like our front and our back ones, this is only going to have a 30-foot distance, which is going to be more than enough for our work van here. But if you have a larger motorhome or fifth-wheel trailer, you might want to look into some alternatives, because this isn't going to be the best option. Each of our cameras is going to have an IP69K rating, and what that essentially means is that the seal that's on these cameras is going to be able to withstand high pressure and high temperature water jets or a steam cleaning. So what that translates to for you is you can easily go here and wash your van, wash your RV, and if you get water on the camera, it's not going to be the end of the world. It's still going to work just fine. It's sealed up enough to where you know, if you're directly spraying onto it, maybe you're trying to clean it off, it's not going to be the end of the world and wreck your camera. So one of the other important aspects of our camera system, besides just visibility, is going to be how well it withstands vibration, how well it stands impacts, and then also just can it withstand rain, water, sleet, snow, everything that's going to impact how it functions. Luckily with our RVS system, they have it sealed up so that it has the highest rating on the IP scale, which is IP69K. And what that essentially translates to is this camera is going to be able to withstand high pressure and high temperature water jets or steam cleaning. So I wouldn't necessarily take this to the car wash, because there's a good chance that that machinery can maybe damage it. But if you are washing your motorhome or your work van at home and you spray it with the hose, you don't need to worry about it. You're not going to damage it unless you're hitting it with a high pressure washer. Along with that rating, there is the 100G rating for impact, and then a 20G rating for vibration. Now with motorhomes, they shake quite a bit. There's not a lot for their suspensions. There's not much cushioning unless you are getting that aftermarket. So when you're in that, you're like waving around a whole bunch. All the road shock from hitting any kind of bump in the road or any kind of pothole, that's going to transfer up to our camera system, rattle it around, and eventually with older camera systems that weren't sealed the exact same way, what happens is those internal components eventually start to kind of break down, and then what happens is your camera no longer works and you're buying a whole new one. So now that we know that our camera system is going to be rated for whatever we might encounter on our journey, why don't we go ahead and show you a little bit more about the monitor. So our camera system is going to have buttons on the face of it so that you can easily adjust things and kind of switch through each mode, but it also comes with a remote that's going to give you the same ability. It's going to have your camera select, your menu button, you got arrows so you can navigate through it all, as well as a mode select, so it just makes it a little bit easier. You can kind of swap through each spot, and actually that mode select is also going to give us a upside down view, so you can kind of reverse that as we switch through. When we hit video select, that's giving us each camera angle, and it's going to roll through a whole list. It's got a couple different split views as well. So here we're seeing the back camera and the two side cameras. Here we're seeing all four with our front one included. Probably won't use that one as much. It's more so for when you're parking, make it easier. When we click on our menu button, that's going to bring up our contrast, our brightness, and saturation so that you can kind of adjust that. But this should do pretty well both in the sun, especially since we have the little covers on our cameras, as well as at night. You can change your language. When you get down to display, that's going to be all those views that you can go through, and you can see we got 1, 2, 3, 4, and then it starts getting into split views. There's volume, so when you put your vehicle into reverse, it's going to kick back to our back camera, and then you'll be able to hear from that one as well. Turn allows you to kind of change the view as well. If we go further down, we have a distance grid, so you can turn that off or on. That's that grid that'll pop up when you're in reverse. You can also adjust it, so depending on where you set your camera, you might have to adjust that grid so that it's actually lining up properly with the vehicle. So that'll have a left to right, up to down, and then just the general width. I've already gone ahead and adjusted that, but I can still show you. We'll go down to that again. Nope, not that part. We want the grid position, and we'll do up and down because that's what we mostly needed here. So as I start pressing either the up or down, it's going to kind of move that. So you can see we've got the red for right where it's touching the bumper. If I keep pressing up, that's going to keep forcing it away from our bumper. So now we're kind of sitting just past it. So I'll back that back up because we want to make sure that we're not too far away with our grid here. Then we can hit the reverse button to go back. The next thing we have is trigger delay. So whenever you turn your turn signal on, it's going to switch to that camera. You can kind of adjust those settings as needed if that's not exactly how you're wanting it. And then there's also day and night mode. You can kind of adjust those. You're going to need to see it at night to see what's going to be better. And that's also where you could adjust your saturation and contrast and stuff like that and kind of fix things. At the very bottom of the menu is going to be reset. If you've adjusted your settings a bunch and just don't like how it is and want to start back at the beginning, you can come back here and hit the reset button. So like with other camera systems, this is going to have to where when you turn on your left turn or you turn on your right turn, it's going to have a trigger wire that switches to those cameras, so that way it gives you a little bit better of a view when you're trying to make those turns. Now when we switch it into reverse, it's going to give us our backup camera, and it's going to pop up that grid, and now we can hear some of the sound coming through there. We've got our lovely assistant Joe at the back of the vehicle now, and we can kind of hear that audio coming through the camera. So if you have somebody helping you back up and maybe the camera system's just not fully enough to see everything, because some of these campsites can be a challenge to back your camper into. So if you got somebody out there helping you, at least be able to hear them. As far as your monitor goes, there's going to be a couple of different mounts. So there's this one right here where it's adjustable and it's got double-sided tape that you could stick to your dash. It's also got mounting screw holes, so you could also screw it down if you needed to. There's also a second mount that they include, this guy right here, which would be just like kind of with the camera. It would pop right on and you could adjust it how you need to. This would be if you're really screwing it into the dash or into the ceiling. Typically on motorhomes, they'll put it kind of right here because there's a lot of space. You got a lot of headroom on that motorhome, so you can easily have that without it blocking your view. That's going to do it for the look at the RVS backup camera system. If this isn't everything you needed, maybe you still need a little bit more help deciding if this is the right camera system or if a different one is going to be the right fit for your RV or your work van, please feel free to reach out to us with either an expert question, comment, or a phone call, and we'd be happy to help you out.